Have you ever walked into a room and felt something change before anyone said a word? The conversation sounds normal. People are smiling. Nothing looks out of place. And yet a quiet voice in the back of your mind whispers, something isn't right. Or maybe you've gotten a text that ended with nothing but a single period. Most people would read it and move on. You couldn't. For the rest of the day, your mind kept circling back. Why did they write it like that? Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? By bedtime, one tiny detail had grown into an entire conversation inside your head. If that feels familiar, you've probably heard the same lines 100 times. You're overthinking. You're reading too much into it. You just need to relax. And after hearing that enough, it's easy to wonder whether something is wrong with the way your mind works. But what if that's the wrong question? What if the problem isn't that your brain makes up too many stories, but that it notices details most people never consciously register? A tiny shift in tone, a smile that fades a fraction of a second too early, a pause that lasts a little too long. Sometimes those impressions mean something, sometimes they don't. The hard part is that your brain doesn't know which signals to ignore, so it keeps collecting all of them. Over time, that constant stream becomes both an extraordinary gift and an exhausting burden. Because maybe you don't think too much. Maybe your brain is simply seeing more than most people ever realize. Let's talk about what that actually means and why it's so tiring. Being too aware doesn't automatically mean you're smarter or more emotionally sensitive than everyone around you. Often it means something quieter. Your brain has trouble deciding which signals are safe to ignore. Every second, your nervous system takes in far more than your conscious mind could handle. The hum of a light, the pressure of your clothes, a shift in someone's posture. Most of it gets filtered out before it reaches your attention. That filtering is what lets you focus on one conversation instead of drowning in everything else in the room. Psychologists call it selective attention. Your mind turns some signals up and lets the rest fade into the background. But for some people, that filter feels unusually open. Details other minds throw away keep making it through. You notice the hesitation before someone answers. You hear the strain underneath a calm voice. There's a term for part of this: latent inhibition, the brain's tendency to tune out things that have repeatedly seemed unimportant. When that filter runs lower, you tend to notice more. It's not a full explanation for personality or creativity, but it's a useful way to understand the experience. The point isn't that you're always hunting for hidden meaning. It's that your brain keeps handing you signals before you've decided whether they matter. And once a detail enters your awareness, it's almost impossible to push back into the background. That's why just ignore it can feel impossible. You can't ignore something your mind has already marked as important. Here's why it feels so relentless. Your brain doesn't wait for obvious proof before it starts working. Long before you consciously decide what someone means, it's already gathering clues. A face changes for less than a second. A smile fades a little too fast. A voice sounds almost the same as yesterday, just slightly flatter. Most people never register these moments. Their brains file them as background noise. Yours may not. Instead, it quietly stores each detail, as if every interaction were a puzzle waiting to be solved. This happens because the human brain is always trying to predict what comes next. Instead of reacting only after things happen, it constantly compares new information against memories and familiar patterns to guess what someone is really feeling. Most of that runs beneath your awareness. You don't think, let me analyze their facial muscles. You just feel that something changed. A micro-expression, a hesitation before, I'm fine. A voice that's a little tighter than usual. Eyes that flick away and come back. None of these prove anything on their own, but your brain rarely treats them as isolated. It connects them. One clue becomes two, two become five, five become a pattern. And before you notice, your mind is already predicting what happens next. That's why people say you're reading too much into things. From the outside, it looks like you're inventing stories. From the inside, it feels like your brain is just following the evidence it already collected. And for a highly aware person, that prediction system almost never switches off. The hardest part of being highly aware isn't what you notice. It's what happens after you notice it. One sentence, one delayed reply, one unexpected look. For most people, those moments pass as fast as they arrive. But for a mind that can't let go, they multiply. One comment becomes 10 possible meanings, then 20 explanations. Before long, you've built an entire landscape of conclusions from a moment that lasted a few seconds. This gets called overthinking, but it isn't just that you think more. Your brain is carrying more at the same time. Psychologists call this cognitive load, the mental effort it takes to hold and process information. Every detail you hold onto takes up a piece of your working memory. Most people discard a lot of what they take in. If your mind is reluctant to throw anything away, that space fills up fast. You're not just remembering what someone said, you're remembering how they said it, what they didn't say, how long they paused. None of it is overwhelming alone. Together, it becomes a constant stream of unfinished information your brain keeps trying to organize. Eventually, even small choices feel exhausting. Researchers call that decision fatigue, the slow decline in how easily you make choices after long mental effort. And then comes the cycle you know too well. The conversation ends. Your brain doesn't. Hours later, you're still replaying it, imagining what you should have said, wondering if you misunderstood. That loop has a name: rumination. Unlike real reflection, it rarely leads anywhere new. It just keeps your nervous system hunting for a certainty that may never come. But uncertainty is part of being human. No amount of analysis erases it. So the harder your mind searches for total certainty, the heavier everything gets. In the end, the biggest burden isn't what happened. It's everything your brain refuses to put down. One of the quietest costs of being highly aware is something people rarely connect to it: loneliness. Not because you have fewer people around you, but because you often feel like you're living in a slightly different version of the same conversation. Someone tells a joke, everyone laughs. You notice the smile that never reached their eyes. A friend says they're fine, and you hear the hesitation before the word. None of that means you're automatically right. People are too complex for one observation to reveal the whole truth. But when your brain constantly picks up on small inconsistencies, it gets hard to take things at face value. Over time, you stop responding only to what people say. You start responding to what you sense they might actually feel. That makes trust surprisingly hard, not because you think everyone's lying, but because your brain keeps reminding you that everyone carries thoughts they never say out loud. Every conversation seems to have another layer. Even calm moments can turn uncomfortable. You're with people you love. Nothing bad is happening. And still, part of your mind is scanning. Is someone upset? Did I miss something? Your body is in the room. Your mind is a few steps ahead, rehearsing things that haven't happened yet. This isn't pessimism. Many highly aware people are deeply hopeful and compassionate. Their brains are just built to anticipate, not only to observe. And when that simulation never pauses, the present slowly disappears under imagined futures. You can be safe, connected, surrounded by people who love you, and still, your mind is already preparing for conversations that haven't happened. That may be the loneliest part, not that you see more than other people, but that your brain rarely lets you simply be where you already are. At first, being highly aware doesn't feel like a burden, it feels like a strength. You catch details that help you avoid mistakes. You read the emotional temperature of a room almost on instinct. Maybe that ability even protected you once. If you grew up in an unpredictable environment, paying close attention may have helped you see conflict coming or avoid criticism. In that world, awareness wasn't a personality trait, it was a survival strategy. But the brain has an interesting habit. The strategies that keep us safe tend to stick around long after the danger is gone. What began as healthy awareness can slowly turn into something draining. Psychologists call one version of this hypervigilance, a state where the nervous system stays unusually alert, constantly scanning for signs of threat. It exists on a spectrum and doesn't automatically mean something is wrong with you. For some people, it just means their brain has become very reluctant to lower its guard. At first you scan because something feels uncertain. Eventually, you scan because that's who you believe you are. Without noticing, awareness stops being something you do and becomes someone you think you have to be. A quiet belief takes root. If I stop paying attention, if I miss one small sign, if I let my guard down, I'll get hurt. That belief rarely arrives as a decision. It builds gradually, reinforced every time noticing seemed to protect you. But the brain doesn't always tell the difference between real danger and ordinary uncertainty. So it keeps watching, even in safe relationships, even on peaceful days. What was once a remarkable ability becomes a full-time responsibility. The tragedy isn't that you notice too much, it's that you start feeling responsible for noticing everything. That's the moment awareness quietly turns into a cage. So what do you do if this sounds like you? Force yourself to notice less? Become more carefree, more detached? Probably not, because awareness isn't the problem. In a lot of ways, it's one of your greatest strengths. It lets you understand people more deeply and recognize emotions others miss. The goal isn't to become less aware. The goal is to stop believing that awareness obligates you to carry everything you see. There's a distinction many highly aware people never learn. Seeing is not the same as carrying. You can notice someone's sadness without making it your job to fix it. You can feel tension in a conversation without believing you have to resolve it. Awareness gives you information. What you do with that information is a separate choice. The trouble is, many people blur those together. The moment they notice pain, they feel responsible for easing it. Over time, they become emotional caretakers for experiences that were never theirs to carry. This is where boundaries stop being about keeping people out and start being about keeping yourself intact. One question helps whenever your mind starts spinning. Is this something I need to understand, or something I simply noticed? Those aren't the same. Not every signal deserves an investigation. Sometimes a pause is just a pause. Sometimes someone's mood belongs entirely to their own inner world. And maybe the hardest lesson is this: you're allowed to witness someone's experience without becoming responsible for changing it. Compassion doesn't require self-sacrifice. Wisdom isn't measured by how much pain you can carry. It's measured by knowing what actually belongs to you. Maybe that's what real awareness looks like. Not a mind that never stops noticing, but one that has learned the quiet discipline of letting some things pass through. Because peace doesn't come from seeing less. It comes from realizing you were never meant to carry everything you can see. So maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. Maybe you're not exhausted because you noticed too much. You're exhausted because somewhere along the way, you started believing that every insight demanded a response. You treated each one as something you had to solve, prevent, or carry. But awareness was never meant to be a lifelong obligation. It was meant to be a way of understanding the world, not a reason to lose yourself inside it. That's the paradox. The people who see the deepest often don't suffer because of what they see. They suffer because they believe they have to do something with all of it. And those are two very different things. Some people really are born with minds that notice more. They hear what isn't said and catch patterns others miss. That's not a flaw. It can become a profound source of empathy, wisdom, and connection. But it only becomes peaceful when it's paired with another kind of wisdom, knowing where your responsibility ends. Because understanding everything doesn't mean carrying everything. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is simply witness, to understand without absorbing, to care without being consumed, to see deeply and still let yourself rest. If this put words to something you've felt for a long time, but could never quite explain, I hope it reminded you that you're not just too much. You might simply have a mind that notices the world a little differently. If you'd like to keep exploring the hidden psychology and neuroscience behind how we think, connect, hurt, and grow, consider subscribing to Deep Ravines Psychology Lab. Every week, we look at the quiet mechanisms shaping the human mind, not to find perfect answers, but to understand ourselves a little better, and maybe to carry a little less. Deep Ravines Lab Protocol. Characters and stories are AI-generated for motivational insights. 2. Content is curated for entertainment and exploring the messiness of human psyche. 3. No proselytizing or harmful content.